Today I'm talking to Mike Martin. I want to thank you for talking to me today.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So the first big question is, what kind of adjustments or changes have you had to make in your lifestyle since this pandemic has happened?
Yeah, thank you. I think similar to a lot of other folks and kind of my demographic set, the changes were kind of twofold. One was on the family side of things, and the second was on the business side. Family, it was a change. We have preschool age kids, so we went from school, after school activities, booked kind of nonstop. So really having to stop all those activities and then refocus kind of their vacation in our home, which was really challenging, and certainly forever grateful to my wife for her kind of leading those efforts, and they're ongoing, and fingers crossed we'll be in school next fall. And then from the business side, yeah, it was really challenging. Again, our business was doing very well, and a lot of the people that we used to were also doing very well. And the business world kind of came to a complete stop. And there were folks whose businesses that, really relied on traffic, whether it be, restaurants or fitness facilities or dental facilities where, their businesses, immediately stopped, or their revenue stream stopped, and it had nothing to do with them as business people. It had to do with the pandemic. And so, we quickly went from being a kind of startup and growth engine to trying to help people, and certainly our own business, to kind of almost a shut down business. And then certainly when the government programs came out, the PPP and some of those other things, we try to put ourselves in a position to be a resource from people that, we do business with. And so those were some of the kind of big changes that occurred pretty quickly.
So are you mostly working from home, or are you at your office now?
I think one of the things that was very lucky in is that we were able to have all of our folks work from home, which meant that our office was able for me to come into, and for my wife and I, keeping some of those rhythms of kind of me leaving, which I think she probably liked as well. I was able to come down and kind of work out of my home, but still in kind of that shelter in home place. And, talking about changing habits, I drove to work just not far from my house, for many years. And I took the opportunity, and during the time, actually, the first 3 weeks I walked. And then I started to ride a bike, and it was, it was great from a mental health and everything else perspective to be at a time kind of outside of the house, but not in the office, and just observing what was going on. I really made a point to neighborhoods and walk down Main Street and really see what was going on, and find some of those folks on council and kind of understand exactly what was on.
So all of us are dealing with the same problems, which are doing the tasks that we need to do that force us to leave our house, even if we are trying our best to stay in our house. What kind of routines or precautions are you taking with those daily activities that we can't avoid, like going to the grocery store and going shopping for things that we need?
Yeah, so my wife and I were very conscious, I think, as a family, of the shelter-in-place order and doing the best that we could to limit our interactions with anyone outside of our home. I was not, it wasn't great foresight, but I kind of told her in the March timeline when she was going to the store, hey, if you're buying one, buy a second one. And just the idea of kind of creating this stockpile at home. So actually going into things before the state was shut down, we had a pretty good stockpile of some basic needs for our family. And so, outside of that, we were really able to limit going to the grocery store. There's a lot of great local businesses that are doing things like drop-offs. Friends of ours own Thrive, the juice company, and they were doing produce boxes. They would leave by the door. So we really try to access some of those kind of things that would support local businesses and then limit our patterns outside the home. And so I think that we did that. And then obviously the PPP items, wearing masks, a lot of hand sanitizer, wash hands, those sorts of things.
Since we have limited so much of our interactions, I mean, we're looking at each other on screens, but our face-to-face interactions are so much more limited now. how are you overcoming any feelings of being so isolated or having your world become so small? You're looking
Yeah.
at the same people kind of all the time, or looking at the same walls all the time.
Yeah, it's a great question and a great observation. One of the things that we were able to do is we have a little area outside of our house that is adjacent to the street and the sidewalk. It's not the backyard, it's kind of the side yard, but our street has a ton of folks that go out, basically walk the dogs and family rides and those sorts of things. And so, my wife and I would sit out there on a lot of evenings, and we had a lot of conversations that we were talking about that used to last maybe for 30 seconds, that ended up lasting for 30 minutes because everybody was, like you said, kind of sick of just looking at each other and talking to each other. So, if you want to look for silver linings in this, is that we had a lot of conversations with neighbors that we didn't talk to that in depth, a lot more in depth, because I think that folks just, again, where they were sick of talking to each other or their small circle. And so it was really nice to have some of those interactions. And, that was something that we did, which I think helped us.
Are you taking, you or your family taking any special precautions when you go outdoors?
I think that practicing the social distancing has really kind of been key. I think that everyone has been very cognizant of trying to keep that separation. Again, I've got hand sanitizer and face masks in pockets and cars and anything else, and really just trying to be conscious of a almost leave no trace lifestyle with respect to COVID, right? It's an outdoor concept that you can really kind of bring into trying to be mindful of your presence and your potential infection or lack of.
So there has been considerable political talk about the restrictions of things being closed, people being urged to stay home. Would you have any thoughts or comments about, or to people who are saying, we're just sick of this, we're sick of having altered our lives this much, and it's time for us to just go back, like it's really not that big of a deal, like let's just go back to normal? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that is it is an incredibly difficult question that you pose, because I think that I'm certainly one to side with science and medicine and best practices and policies with respect to navigating these waters. At the same point in time, I think that one of the things that I've had exposure to here that maybe other folks don't is just the breadth and scale of the human consequences this pandemic's had. We own a hotel here in downtown, and we have a restaurant here, and just the number of folks that have been laid off and had kind of financial impacts to their lives. And then the government's done the best they can to try and backstop that and allow people the time to stay home and to stay safe and to flatten the curve and do all those things. But I guess I can understand the folks that are starting to agitate. I guess my message would be that I would rather pay the price now personally with respect to limiting my behavior and asking others to do so that in the long run, we can get back to something that is closer to normal than just casting all medical recommendations aside and just trying to restart things. I don't see that as being the right course forward, but I certainly sympathize with folks that are at wit's end. I'm sure you've talked to other folks that really are having a hard time and are struggling with this. So, tough question.
Is there anything else that I didn't ask you about that you think is worth talking about?
No, I guess the only thing I would say is, as a casual observer and somebody who's certainly vested and interested in what you do in your, every other Monday job, and I know it's not just every other Monday, but it's every day with you interacting with folks that are in your ward and people in the cities. I would just encourage, and I've reached out to various members on council and the mayor, and I think everyone has been incredibly receptive, but I would just continue to encourage you folks to understand it isn't, and I think that everyone's there, that it's certainly not business as usual, and being flexible and open and understanding and pragmatic as much as possible right now, and not saying, hey, this is how we did something, or, this is what's kind of in our scripture. Right now is the time to see what's really going on out there in the world, and either rapidly or quickly adopting policies to meet those challenges head on in a proactive way that helps as many people as we possibly can. It really is the need, and I think the comeback here is not going to be measured in terms of weeks and months. It's really going to be years. So we're going to do the best that we can to do our part for the community. And I would just ask that everybody on council do the same thing. And again, appreciate all your time and effort in doing so. So thank you.
I think every profession is having to look hard at strategies moving forward, and we're all having to think about things in a different way.
The word we've been using a lot around here is dynamic. So it's a very dynamic situation. Again, I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Well, thanks so much for talking to me today.